As the seasons draw on, my rescue missions on Dreamlight Valley were becoming more and more successful. One day, I managed to find Max, Prince Eric's dog. I swiftly returned Max to him, and they were happy to be reunited. Max would keep an eye on the villainous characters on the island. He really is such a good boy. With this recent rescue, I was able to unlock a new door in the Dreamlight Castle. However, as I attempted to unlock this new door, a mysterious orb fell out from the door. It appeared to be a memory. I had a suspicion as to where this door might lead to. Me and my team went on through, and by some sheer impossibility, we wound up in headquarters. At the console was Joy. She really needed help running headquarters today. So, we helped her out, sorting out the memories that had accumulated over the day. But that wasn't the only task. Joy assigned us with finding Sadness, who were sorting out some bad memories in long term. We went on down to long-term memory, and eventually we found Sadness. After bringing Sadness back to headquarters, I escorted both Joy and Sadness back to Dreamlight Valley, where they became residents once again. Under the influence that I was a mind worker, Joy and Sadness took up residence as if they were wandering through dream productions. Their influence over the valley was having some pretty strange effects. One day, Joy hosted a game of Capture the Sun, and small miniature suns began appearing across the valley. These suns made everyone feel joyous, more so than ever. Joy even began making her own version of Imagination Land here. Sadness, on the other hand, was having quite the opposite effect. Her presence was causing people to feel depressed, and causing sadness clouds to start raining on everything, whether inside or out. However, thanks to Merlin's help, I was able to calm the both of them down, making sure that the valley was equally happy and sad for everyone. Sadness started hosting meetings where people could share their emotions and sad feelings. Joy even made her a pillow fort to make her feel more comfortable. Ultimately, their problems were sorted. But not too far away, on the Storybook Vale, problems were only starting to get worse. The lorekeeper messaged me. She told me that the residents of the Storybook Vale, Merida, Flynn, and Hades, were beginning to fade away. The magic of the Storybook Vale was becoming topsy-turvy, and there was still no sign of Maleficent or Aurora. I didn't want my new friends to disappear, and after seeing tornadoes of pages and stories swirling across the land, I cleared them away and restored Merida, Flynn, and Hades back to normal. With these 3 residents safe and accounted for, it was time to turn my attention back to Maleficent, and where she had gone. The lorekeeper explained that Maleficent was destined to become erased from fiction altogether, erasing her existence. The lorekeeper was strangely insistent on seeing her erased, believing that this would save the Storybook Vale. However, I wanted to hear both sides of the story. And so, I decided to take a little journey to the Unwritten Realms. the between space between books and the living world. It was here that I found Maleficent. But she wasn't the only one here. Her pet raven was locked up, but most prominently were the magic quills, who worked for the lore keeper, maintaining the stories. They were absolutely no help. However, there were traces of the 3 good fairies within the Unwritten Realms, and they were the ones who helped me and Maleficent escape the Unwritten Realms and back to the Storybook Vale. Upon our arrival, the lore keeper was strangely angry. It was then that she decided that Maleficent was not the problem with the entire Dreamlight Valley. She determined that the problem was me, interfering with so many different characters from so many different worlds. It was getting far too confusing for the lore keeper, and she wanted me banished. I was not willing to go down without getting some answers. My last hope was finding Aurora to discover what was going on. After stepping through the broken mural, I lived out a story to try and find Aurora, and at the very end, there she was. It was here that Aurora explained the whole story. During the forgetting, the lore keeper had become less trusting and cold. As characters disappeared, she was determined to keep those who remained for herself, locking their stories away on the Storybook Vale. The cause of this situation was the lore keeper all along. Now that the lore keeper's secret was revealed, she decided that the only thing she could do now was to erase the Dreamlight Valley and the Storybook Vale altogether. Things were getting out of hand, but thanks to Aurora's advice, it took quite a bit of convincing, but I told the lore keeper that the best way to keep a story alive is to share it with the world. This message really hit home, and I was able to get through to the lore keeper, and eventually, she calmed down. The Lord Keeper's attack on the valley and the Storybook Vale was over. She had realized just how foolish she had been, and she promised not to hide her stories from the world any longer. And with a new purpose in mind, the Storybook Vale was now safe from danger. The Lore Keeper would continue to share her stories with the other residents of the valley. Meanwhile, I invited everyone off the Storybook Vale back to the safety of the Dreamlight Valley. Even Aurora and Maleficent came along with me. Aurora would take care of the animals in the valley, and I even became an honorary princess for a day. I even managed to end the quarreling between Hades and Maleficent, thanks to their shared love of fire. All in all, the Storybook Vale was safe, and the residents of the Dreamlight Valley were at last at peace. But that doesn't mean things end there. I know that there's plenty of other characters out there who I've yet to find, and their stories are going to be countless. And so for now, I'm only going to focus on the rescued residents. I know there'll be plenty of other stories to tell, but for now, this is Fresh Powder, signing out from Dreamlight Valley. Goodbye.